Welcome back, everyone. My name is Sierra, and this is my bookshelf. The glare, I can't. It's fine. It's whatever. It's cute. It's cute. Gotta keep telling myself that. Anyway, hi. Welcome back. Today, as you can tell, I'm gonna talk about the fantasy books that I want to read. A few videos back, I talked about how Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros kind of pushed me into reading fantasy. And like before that, I hadn't really read a lot of fantasy and it hasn't really been my shtick. But after reading that, I think fantasy might be my girl, my homie, my bestie. So here's some fantasy that I think I want to start exploring, especially because it's such a wide genre. And also I feel like some of the books that I'm currently reading, like Outlander, that's fantasy. Why am I not on the bandwagon yet? You know what I mean? So today I'm going to take you down the list of fantasy books that I've heard a great deal about and that I want to read, or at least finish the series if I started the first one. Obviously, I'm going to try to reread Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros before the end of the year. I really want to buy the physical copy of it just so that I can take notes, you know? Yeah, I'm not necessarily an annotator, but I definitely want to note some of the moments that were very key for me, and I don't know, just kind of get into the physical experience rather than just the audiobook experience. Don't come for me. I don't want you to come for me. The second one is the ACOTAR series, or ACOTAR, by Sarah J Maas. I read the first book and then I started reading the second book, and how do I put it? The second book, I was 19 chapters in and I was bored as hell, so I stopped reading it and I was like, I'm not gonna read the rest of the series, even though I bought all of them. So I just gave them to my friend and she's loving it. But I read it in 2020, read the first book, loved the first book, was heartbroken at the beginning of the second book. But then, I don't know, it just kind of got very whiny white girl for me, and I didn't care. Especially if I'm 19 chapters into a book, more than a third of the way through the book, and there's nothing happening other than that she's whining about how sad her life is. Like, I don't care, get to the point. And so that's why I DNF'd it at first, but I think I might backtrack because everyone seems to love it. Like, two of my best friends have read it, they both love it, and I'm just like, we have similar reading experiences. Well, me and one of them, and then the other one doesn't read for shit and she loved this series. So I'm like, there has to be something there. Granted, you know, the second one, my second friend, she read it as an audiobook with her sister, so maybe the audiobook experience is different. But I don't know, it just wasn't giving what needed to be gave, and I'm trying to see what it's giving for other people, you know? So yeah, I'm actually really hesitant about that one because of every other reason that I just listed. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it. I'm very suspicious of it, to say the least. Very suspicious. Anyway, the third one, I'm gonna continue with the Outlander series. I am really just enjoying myself in this first book. I'm 50 as the time of me recording this, I'm 50 pages, like, I'm almost done. 50 pages left of the book, and I don't want it to end, and I know it has like 7 other books after this, so I'm really excited to continue the series. And also I really enjoyed the audiobook, and that's how I read it so fast, because if you know me, it does not take me 7 days to read a 700-page book. No. So I think I'm gonna finish it as with the physical copy, with those last 50 pages, because I feel like with the audiobook I was missing a lot. But I'm really enjoying myself, and I do want to pick up the second book. I don't know if I'm going to go ahead and pick up the whole series because I learned my lesson with ACOTAR, and that you shouldn't drop $100 on a set of books where you only read the first book. Don't do it. Anyway, yeah, I'm really enjoying myself with this book. Okay. Again, do not come for me. I do not need it. I do not want to hear it. Okay? Okay? Pinky promise, okay? I don't want to hear it. But I want to continue with the Ice Planet Barbarian series. Oh, I know. Stop. Literally in the unhinged state that I was in during finals week. Well, finals 3 weeks. Me and my friend went to Barnes and Noble and we were just like, let's have a pick-me-up because we're really stressed out, and what's better than books that will get us out of this stress? Obviously, I saw the Ice Planet Barbarian special edition paperback, and I was curious because I had never read it before, okay? And maybe about a year or two back, people were like really raving about the series, and I was like, that sounds weird. Like how, look, and there's this, like, it looks beautiful. And my mom's cracked it open. I gave it to my mom. I don't want to hear it. We share books around this household. This novel has the actual novel, an extended epilogue, and the novella of Georgie and Vektal. Vektal. And I was here for it. I really just got it because it was cheap, and I was really curious, and I didn't want to like have a physical, an electronic copy of it. But Ruby Dixon, I see what you did here. I liked it. I want to continue with it, and yes, I do consider it fantasy. It's a little sci-fi, but I feel like sci-fi and fantasy kind of go hand in hand. And this is more fantasy because it doesn't have necessarily a lot of scientific talk. I don't know really the difference, but I consider this fantasy. Here for it. My best friend Monica also read it. We giggled over it, obviously. And classic. I love it. I love what's going on there. The next one is the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. Now, I'm gonna say it was last year, 2022, 2021, I don't know. But I think in academic years, so I'm thinking of my junior year. I definitely read it during junior year. Anyway, I read the first book as an audiobook because I saw, again, Plant-Based Bride, love her content. Plant-Based Bride was talking about how the whole trilogy was just chef's kiss. And then I found out that the author was a Black woman. And I was like, obviously I have to read this. So I read the first book. Well, I listened to it on audiobook, and it transcended all of my expectations. It wasn't like any other fantasy that I've ever read, and I really love the writing of N.K. Jemisin. And the fact that it didn't get popular until a few years ago, but it was published in 2015. That was crazy to me. I was like, had I known earlier, I would have been an N.K. Jemisin girly, okay? Just saying. So now I have to finish the rest of the trilogy, possibly even get the physical copies. I don't know what else to say about that, but I loved it. The world building was amazing. I feel like it was a very original idea, especially for, gosh, I can't even remember what they're called, but the people with the powers. I don't remember what they're called. I haven't read this book in a while, but I loved that whole dynamic of this post contemporary world still being racist. Like, is talking about race in a different way that isn't necessarily harmful to Black people today. I don't know how to make that make sense, but it didn't feel like there was an oppressive nature where it was specifically Black people being oppressed, but it was also a nuanced discussion of racism. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Anyway, love that book, love her. I'm going to continue the series and definitely buy the copies, the physical copies, because it was beautiful as a masterpiece. Now, the next two, they're by the same author, but I don't know if one of them is actually fantasy, but I still want to read it. I just don't know if it's technically fantasy. So, I want to read The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang, and also Babel. I've heard a lot about Babel, and also as somebody who loves learning languages, I think it'd be interesting to read that one because it's about a boy who's going to Oxford learning, I guess, the history of words and languages and stuff like that, while also discussing like the racialization of people in the world, in the British world, and how harmful it is. And then I don't really know what the Poppy War is about. I just know that R.F. Kuang is an amazing writer and that people really love the Poppy War, and I was like, why not? I mean, I need to read more Doorstoppers anyway, so that was my justification for that one. But those two I want to read, especially Babel, even though I don't really know if it is fantasy. I think it is considered fantasy, but I'm not sure. Anyway, let's move on. Now this one I'm a little tentative about because personally the Black girlies love it and the non-Black girlies seem to have a problem with it, but it's called Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. And now I'm not going to name names, but I just think it's interesting that it's mostly non-Black people who are not really enjoying the nuances of this book. But yeah, I feel like this would be a really good gateway fantasy for people. Honestly, I don't know what it's about, and you're gonna hear me say that a lot about a lot of things. I don't know what it's about. I'm easily influenced by TikTok. If I hear something's really good by people who like the same kinds of books that I do, I'm gonna put it on my TBR, even if I don't know the synopsis. So fight me on it. Anyway, yeah, I think it'd be an interesting read, especially because it's about Black people, magic, you know, what it means to be fated and be the chosen one, stuff like that. That's pretty much all I know about it. I don't know anything else about it. So, yeah. Now, the next one I've heard mixed reviews about. Either people really love it or they do not at all fuck with it. And I follow the author on Instagram, but I've never read any of her books. I just think she's a really nice person. I just follow her on Instagram. But the Red Queen series, I think that's what it's called. I'm not sure if it's like the whole series, but definitely the first one is Red Queen, by Victoria Aveyard. I'm gonna read that. That's all. That's it. That's all. Yeah. So my bestie put me on this one. She is a fantasy girly, but she's also like a romance girly. And she got this book for Christmas last year. And when she started reading it, she was like, this is an 800-page book, but it's gay, so I want to read it. And I was like, oh my god, an 800-page gay book? I want to read it. And it's called Priory of the Orange Tree. The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. That's the only reason why I want to read it. It's fantasy, it's gay, It's a huge book. It's a really long gay book. What? Yeah, that's it. This next one, I think who was talking about it? Kayla from Books and Lala. She was talking about this book, and I don't know, I think the covers really drew me in, and then she was talking about how interesting the world building was. It's called A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. And now I have another book by V.E. Schwab that some people may know. Still have not read it. I bought this for myself for my birthday, which was in January. It is July. Still haven't cracked it open, but maybe I'll also put that on my reads. But what was I saying? A Darker Shade of Magic is supposed to be like this world jumping type of book where there are different Londons, and there's like a gray London, there's a red London, and this person is just jumping these worlds. And that's pretty much all I know. I thought it was a very interesting premise, and I don't know, I've just never read a world jumping type of book, and since I went to London last year, I can't get enough of London. So yeah, that's it. That's all. That's the whole story. Okay, the last one, again, I've heard hit or miss. Either it's a 5-star or it's a 1-star. Okay, my best friend just got this book, and from what I can tell, it's like a vampire book. I don't really know much about it. Again, this is not my world, but it's called From Blood and Ash. You may have heard it, by Jennifer L. Armentrout. And a lot of people seem to be of two minds about this book, and I kind of want to get to the bottom of it. That's pretty much the only reason why I want to read it. And it has vampires. I'm going to read anything that has a vampire in it, honestly. Why not, you know? But anyway, those are all of the fantasy books that I want to read, and not necessarily by the end of the year, just kind of in passing. I want to explore the genre more and see what's out there, but I also want to, I don't know, get out of this romance rut that I'm in, because I have just been so into romance for the last year that I don't even think about other genres. And so the first non-romance book that I read was Outlander. Well, technically it is still a romance, but like it's still fantasy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've been in a romance rut. I have only been reading romances, and I feel like I need to branch out. And that's why I'm doing the classic series, and that's why I'm doing the fantasy series. So yeah, this is about growth, my friends, about growth. So thank you so much for watching, and leave a butterfly emoji down in the comment section if you made it this far into the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.